All right, I know you've probably had enough, but just want to recap what we did. And so in order for CRUD functionality to work, we have to have on the server side in the water controller the ability, we have to have these methods in here, whether it be a delete or a put or a post or a get. We need to have those methods available and telling it what we need in order to be able to add a new project. To add a new project, I need a project object with all of the information filled in, and then I can add that into the database. And so because of that, we set up this API call. Then one of the first things we did in this video was to move our API calls into this project APIs file just to organize things a little bit better and keep it cleaner. You don't necessarily need to do that. We could have made the API calls right in the files. But when we go here now, we've built this method, add project, that is going to call our API. We receive in a new project to be able to do this, and we tell it it's going to be a post method, and we're sending JSON, and then we take whatever's in the body of this response and stringify it to be a new project, which sends it the way it needs to be on the other side, which is why we need to have on this side this from body attribute on there to say, hey, it's going to be formatted in a JSON, let's break it out in the way we need to break it out. And so we go into those APIs, we build this API, which has some error handling in here, but you can see if the error handling in here, this would be much smaller, right? What we're doing is we're making a request and calling the add project and then sending with it this JSON. All right, so then in the, we created a new project form page to be able to put this stuff in place, right? We built this form that has the project name and type and regional program and so on and so forth. And then we say, when we submit add project for this form, then we're going to call the handle submit. Well, the handle submit is going to call our add project function found in this project APIs file to go send that information. And along with that, it passes the form data, which is an instance of a project, wherever that is. It's a project. The form data contains all the information for one project. We're passing that. And so when the user fills out this information and clicks on it, we take and hand that to our add project function, which makes the call to the API to go set that. Same thing for the update function. So on the update form, on the edit project form, we have the same thing. We bring up this form, and when the user clicks update project, we call the handle submit, which the handle submit is going and calling our update project function inside the project APIs, which is going to go put together the information. In this case, we need both the project and the project ID so we can go select the right project on the other side. So we call this update project, we pass that information, which is received up here at the controller, which goes and reads in that project API, which is passed in, and the updated project information, and goes and sets those fields to their updated information, and then updates that particular project. On the delete, which we just did, then in our list of projects, so in the admin's projects page, we have a delete button. And so when the user clicks delete, we call our handle delete and pass in the project ID for whichever project we're on, whatever row we're on. It's received here in the handle project, or handle delete, sorry. And we check to see, are you sure you want to delete? And if they don't want to delete, then we just return immediately without doing anything. Otherwise, we're going to await the delete project method, which is another one in our project APIs that takes as input a project ID, and then it calls the delete project and passes in the project ID. We go and search for that project ID, find it, put it into an object, then we say go delete that object from our projects table, and then save changes. And so it's this little chain of things, right? Getting the right information to the right object to go make that call. We could cut out the middleman. We could not have this file if we didn't want to. We could, instead of, we popped these forms up at the top of our admin projects page, but we could have just as easily routed them to a new page that had the add information if we wanted to handle it that way. We broke in the beginning this pagination out into a separate component, but we didn't need to do that if we didn't want to. We could have just had the, typed it up twice or copied it from the one page to the other. And so the point is, there's a lot of flexibility in the way we do this. And again, just reiterating this point, you're probably going to use a ton of AI to help you write this stuff, which is totally fine as long as you can read it. But if you just create it and just paste it in, then something's not working, you don't know how to fix it. And so that's why I'm going through this process of explaining. This is a crash course. We're going through really fast all these different things. And I'm not taking a lot of time to talk about things like React change event, HTML input element, but it would be good to, if you're wondering about that, to go in and say, what does this line mean? What does this do? What does the E mean? I don't understand that, to be able to understand it a little bit better. But overall, that's a lot. Like I say, I know this is a lot to try and take in. I wasn't expecting we're going to, absorb a ton of it. I want you to have a resource as you go in and try and build CRUD functionality yourself. When it really matters, to come back and say, oh, okay, this is what we did. Okay, I understand this now. It's interesting how it changes when you really need it for a big in-text project or whatever. So anyway, that's a quick summary of what we did. Hopefully that makes sense, kind of looking at it again together. But let me know, obviously, if you have any questions on anything specifically. Spencer, out.